Hey everybody, how are we tonight? Hopefully you all are, I don't know, getting along well. I have no idea how everybody is doing. But hey, that's how it is. Hold on, one last thing. Fuck. Hold on, I lost the URL. There we go. Got it. True. Alright, all things American must be deep fried. There are no exceptions to this rule. Alright, there we go. We're in. So, let's just let's take a nice little look around and see. Hey, Drum. Hey, Poncho Hamster. Hey, Another. Hey, Universe. And hey, Rilani. Hey, Dank Drains. Hey, Gato Mancha. I cannot pronounce your name. Welcome one and all. So let's just, take a good hard look at everything. Just a little slow, I don't know, jaunt around the place. Nothing too bad. Hey, Cooperator. Looking slick. Oh, I know. The shaders, I tell you. These shaders are a godsend. Come back from work, make some food, watch stream. It's 2 a.m. Good lord. Where are you that it's 2 a.m.? India? It must be hard doing that. Stream is terrible on 144. Oh, the UK. Yeah, I guess that would be what, like 8 hours? Or no, not 8 hours, 7 hours. Or no, 6 hours, my bad. Damn, I'm dumb. Yeah, that's 6 hours behind me. Man, are we going to watch Dig's cast interview? Yeah, I meant to do that. That was what I was forgetting to do. Okay. Well, in that case, speaking of Digcast, let's pick what building we're going to make the insides of. Right here will do. So let me get all my garbage out. And then we will swap over to Digcast real fast. Perfect. Okay. Also, the clicking of the dolphins is so weird. It's strange. Okay, now I gotta figure out where to put a door. Interior building stream, yep. Welcome back, 48. It has been a bit, yep. Oh, wow, NASCAR Fast Cherry 48. Okay, yeah. Jack, stop drawing flaccid objects on your car. Never. You're gonna have to learn to deal with it. Hey, Denta, it's 7 a.m. for you. Okay. Aw, well, all the dolphins that I made. Can you believe these dolphins are like a year and a half or so old? Or no, these dolphins are nearly 2 years old. Holy crap. Wow, that's mind-blowing. Okay. So I think I'm just gonna make, like, right here. I'm just gonna put a door. It's not gonna be anything super fancy. We'll just put some doors right there. I don't know. Would maybe a door right here be better? No, it would not. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. I turned up my game sounds. That's why things are wild. Because Andrew was playing stuff over me. Okay, that explains why those dolphins are so fucking loud. Alright. Now then, we will nix the music. And go along to the Digcast. Okay. Now, I warn you, this is a 3 hour and 12-minute long video. So I'm going to put it here. Pin this. And there we go. Oh, well, actually, let me redo that. I could do that better. Remove that message. Okay. Reacting to, and then link, and then pin. Yay, there we go. Okay, movie theater? Hell no. I'm not making this a movie theater. This is a high-rise building of some kind. I mean, look at how large this building is when we look at it from the outside. Whoops. Yeah, like when we look at it from the outside, this building goes all the way up to build height. Like, it's a big building. Something important has to be in here, like offices or I don't know. Something like that. I almost kind of want to make like a little starter area or like a little reception area and then maybe an elevator or something. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, no, I'm not watching that. No, don't worry. You can watch this. I will react to it. It's just a podcast. Like, it's not like an actual, like, it's static. So, like, you're better off hearing it, and then I'll make stuff. And this will probably have to be broken up into 2 minute or two parts. Fuck me, I will think soon enough. Anyway, yeah, this will have to be a 2-parter simply because there's just so much here. So, yeah, like hour and a half here, hour and a half part 2. That should do it.
Hello,
roughly.
everybody. This is me, DigMC, and
Now,
welcome back to another episode of the Digcast.
Is this too low?
Today we are joined by not with Franknificent, but Jacktherippa. Jack, say hello.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, wow, what?
It's Jack MC.
Jack.
Also, that audio. Okay, how bad? Yeah, it's lagging just for you. I'm sorry. Just a tiny bit louder. Okay. I'm going to have to really crank it up. Perfect volume? Your mic sounds different? Yeah, I don't know what he did. I think it's how he recorded it.
See, good to have you here. Okay, so I originally reached out to you after watching your reaction to the Jared interview, which I really enjoyed watching. It was cool to hear your perspective on things, and I hope we'll see more of that in the next couple of hours.
Lagging?
So one of the last things I asked Jared in that podcast was who he respected the most on 2B2T, and he answered with you. So who do you respect on 2B2T? Is that feeling mutual? Do you respect Jared, or who do you look up to the most?
I've come to respect Jared a lot more in the last year or two because he's grown up. He's matured a lot. He still plays his role as the menace, but overall, I guess I've always respected Pyrobite the most, just out of like everybody I've met, because Pyro had a sort of swagger to him. He knew how to be cordial, he knew how to shitpost, he knew how to be cool. He could be like he spread his wealth a little bit. He obviously had access to like a lot of really interesting illegal items and other things throughout the years, and he would keep some things close to his chest, but he also knew to kind of like be cool with it,
Oh yeah, Pyro was awesome. Okay, so how was that, like, audio-wise? I know the quality is terrible. I don't know what happened. It was not me. I had the exact same setup as you're hearing that I'm using now, so, like, I couldn't tell you. But, yeah, so, like, is everything good otherwise? Monarch to the Kingdom? Yeah. Well, anyway. Hey, welcome, Mike. Anyway, yeah. Oh, hey, Rosie. Yeah, Pyro had all the swagger, exactly. Swagger to him, it's funny. Well, I mean, it was a bravado. I used the word swagger at the time. Swagger isn't just like physical, it's also how you behave and what you say. But anyway, so yeah, it was good. Oh, you're good too, Mike. Thank you. It sounds fine. Okay, good. Yeah, other than that, we'll just have to bear along with this. And I'll interject and like clarify my thoughts if I was not clear on something or something like that. Whatever's necessary. So yeah. I will let me and Dig take it away.
He wasn't a jerk about it. He was awesome to get to know. He was a down-to-earth guy. He knew what he was doing. He was a hacker, but he wasn't like holier than thou. Pop Bob, Tristan, the people who don't end up forming Nerds Inc., they were very holier than thou because they knew how to do hacking and all sorts of other Java-related exploits, and just Pyro he could walk the walk, talk the talk, but he wasn't high on himself, and I really admired that about him. And so yeah, that's why I would say he'd be the person I would say I respected the most.
Okay, that's really cool hearing you talk about Pyrobite, because obviously we're so used to hearing him referred to as this fucking like beyond human like character. He's one of the characters in the FitMC show.
Right.
Is there anything that like about Pyrobite that's kind of not known by many people nowadays, simply because they didn't know him back then?
Well, when we were all basing together Valkyria, Pyro would just like, I have a bunch of screenshots of him just for no reason at all. He went into someone's house and it was made entirely of wool. And he lured a bunch of chickens in there. And he just started, I think he had an infinite chicken egg. Because I didn't know about imps back then. I didn't know that those were a thing. And so I just remember seeing him in free cam. I was perusing around in free cam and I just saw him off in the distance. And he was just spamming chicken eggs, just filling someone's house with chicken eggs. And he would just do little weird, odd things like that. Like when people were... Oh, I remember he made this giant bridge. It was out of stone and iron, and then he was going to make ice as the surface, sort of like an asphalt layer, but it was of ice. This is before you could use boats on ice. Right. But I think there was a flying exploit where you could fly on the surface of ice, and you could fly really fast in one direction. And so his goal was to make a bridge all the way back to spawn from Valkyria. And I was just like, that's a really cool idea, but that's also a really foolish idea. And he just sort of, I don't know, he just wanted to do something. I think he was restless. He was bored. He didn't really know how to, like, make good use of his time in Minecraft, but he was like, I want to do something awesome anyway. I don't know, just Pyro had a sort of, like, innocence to him that I don't really think a lot of people have ever gotten a peek at, you know?
Yeah, he was human at the end of the day.
Yeah, he was human, exactly.
Not just a fucking character.
Yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of the FitMC show type stuff, is that 90% of the people you hear about are, for the most part, human. Even if they do kind of have inhuman tendencies from time to time, yeah, they're still human. Everybody is.
What do you think about 2B2T, especially more so back in the day, attracted those people that are maybe a bit more inhuman than the rest?
It's the fact that there were no rules to everything, and so people read that to mean no consequences either. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, a lot of people who they want to push the envelope as considered today, they don't think about consequences. They didn't have something or someone in their lives to really, like, teach them properly, I guess is the right way to put it. They were not, they didn't have boundaries in their lives. Like a lot of the really bad people who were really, really bad in the early days, like Pop Bob and Jared and Talo and so on, I don't get the feeling they had a really good family life. They were not, they weren't taught well enough, and they would get high on themselves because suddenly they had power. And I don't think they had power over much of what their lives were like as they were younger. So when they were older, and they're on 2B2T, well, they're able to make anyone's life hell if they wish to. And yeah, that kind of, that's a bit of an indicator that, you know, people who don't have proper guidance, they do tend to kind of turn out bad, or they have the chance to turn out bad. But they can also not be bad. They can grow and change too.
They can have the complete opposite effect, yeah.
Right, yeah, it can have the complete opposite effect, but I don't know, with Jared, he was bad for a long time, and he's kind of pulled himself out of it. He's not so bad anymore. And yeah, there's something to that.
Okay, alright. So, I guess on the contrary to the first question I asked you, is there someone, like, you hate the most on 2B2T? Like, someone that you kind of think, oh, 2B2T and maybe the world would be a better place if they were never born, or they never joined the server? Anyone like that, or are you mostly a positive person?
I would like to say I'm a positive person, but honestly, I think if Tristan never joined 2B2T, there's a lot of stuff that you can go back retroactively, and you can look at his involvement with the server. And I don't know about the world as a whole, because I can't speak to
that was a bit extreme. Yeah,
but definitely if 2B2T had never seen the presence of Tristan, I think we'd all been a little bit better off.
Why do you say that? What's Tristan taken away from the enjoyment of everyone on the server?
Tristan, like, burned every bridge. Like, I've never seen Tristan not be dysfunctional with someone. Tristan himself seems very dysfunctional because of the people in his life, and he met all of them through 2B2T, just about. I think he'd been a better person had he not ended up on 2B2T, had he not been influenced by those people. Like, I think just everybody would have been a lot better off had it just not gone that way. But
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say that for sure. That's my gut instinct.
Yeah.
You can't really know that for sure because it's just not how things ended up.
Sure.
But yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. So like, because Tristan nowadays, he interacts a bit with the community, and he's always, I mean, he's in like my group's Discord server. He speaks from time to time. Like, he seems like a sort of chill. He doesn't seem like a fucking massive troll, right? But I mean, like, you know, because he's a grown ass man now. But you're saying that
Maybe, yeah.
You know, he's the same basically.
Well, now he was young, like Jared. He was only a few years older than Jared when he joined. So, like, anyone who was under, I'd say, the age of 20 or so when they joined 2B2T, no matter what era they joined in, that's too young, in my opinion. You're too susceptible to the toxicity that just pervades 2B2T. And, like, when you're older, you can discern what's real and what's not far better than when you're younger and more, you know, influenceable, I guess. And obviously people grow and change as they get older. So I'm not going to like rule Tristan out as being incapable of changing and growing. But that I've not heard of much of anything of him changing.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to understand, like, what were Tristan's actual. I mean, I know because I've done a lot of 2B like history research over the years. But for someone that like doesn't know,
that hasn't, yeah.
like, what's Tristan like done? Like, what makes you feel so strongly about him? Like, because of things he's actually done on the server.
Well, for starters, he sort of wormed his way into my group a little bit, and I was okay to accept him and have him in the group. But he was never part of the group.
Which
first
group
and
was this?
foremost, he was. Oh, the lands group with me,
Okay.
Silver Crown King, Zarviar, Exalted Spartan, Snacky North was in it for a while. Just, you know, the group who basically helped populate and build Space Valkyria.
Sure.
And you can't really trust someone who's not going to be a team player, who wants to be in the group but not be really, like, part of the group. You know what I mean?
Doesn't want to contribute.
Yeah, doesn't want to contribute, and he would always withhold things. Where Pyro, like I said, Pyro was secretive, but on occasion he would share things, and he was more down to earth. He would talk to you. I never got that from Tristan, never. And that lasted all the way up until he stabbed us all in the back and formed Nerds Inc. And he was willing to, I guess, own or run the server in whatever capacity that he was doing that, and the rest of us be damned. And it was just like,
So why
really
did he
kinda
decide
wish-
to grief the lands and Space Valve?
Supposedly he says that he was kicked out of the lands. His bed was removed. Now, I don't know how that happened. I didn't have anything to do with that because I was playing at Space Valkyria. I hadn't played the land seriously since like 2014. So anything that happened in that time, like, I don't know who did what or why. I just know that at some point he was really distant from us, and he never really, like, would give us he wouldn't tell us what was going on. He wouldn't be forthcoming about what he was involved with or who he was involved with. Just that I really kind of wish he hadn't wormed his way into my group the way that he had.
He must have taken a great amount of offense from someone destroying his bed, because that fucking grief
He
and
had to
effort
have,
put into
but
it.
like, it's not like we couldn't have gotten him back there if he just asked. If he just said something. Because we had the bed TP active at that time. If he had just said, hey, Jack, my bed got separated from the lands. Like, could you help me? I'd have been like, sure, man. You know. And then I would have let him and him only through. Although I don't know that he wouldn't have tried to use that against me at some point. But, like, we could have worked something out.
Also, the bed chain was organized by you. I thought it was...
No, it was organized by Zarviar. But, like, when Zar set up the beds... He told us all about it.
Right, so
he
you,
made
all
sure
the
to
base
communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I was under the impression that the bed chain was put there by like Tristan and that as their means to get there. That's interesting.
Oh no! There were two bed chains.
Oh.
That did happen. You only had half the story. That did happen. Zar established the first bed chain once. I think it was Talo figured out this bed chain thing was a bug that could be exploited. And so Talo told Brennillan. Brennillan was in our group, so Brennillan leaked it to us. And so we set it up. Zar did the hard work of setting up the actual physical locations. And so there were a few outstanding members who had gotten separated from the lands. And so we were like, hey, come back, come this way, do this. And we worked really closely, and we got them all there. And there were a few people who joined freshly, and we were like, yeah, okay, we're all right with you coming. Yeah, you know, come at this time, do this, go here. And everything worked out fine. And Tristan gets mad, and we're like, you know, like, well, we don't know what happened or why, but like, you know, again, all it would have had to take was just asking.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen. I don't know why. I don't know. Like, Tristan was getting very shifty because of King's Landing and later on KGB.
How does that tie into this?
Kinograd base.
Yeah.
So Clyde joins after a long time, and he gets invited to Kinograd base, and he gets invited to King's Landing. And it's Clyde and Tristan sort of like messing with everybody. It just generates this huge amount of friction. Like, we're like, okay, we you know, you kids, because they're still like, I want to say they're 17 or 18 at this time. We're like, okay, you kids gotta chill the fuck out. Like, you're making everybody upset. You're annoying everyone. Like, stop. And they just wouldn't. And so at that point, everybody was kind of like, okay, we really don't want Tristan and them involved, but like, we didn't want to kick them out. And then eventually King's Landing got griefed. I forget who did it. It basically came to a head, you know, the drama came to a head.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, that's enough. Like, we're gonna settle a new base. One of you can come, but not the other. You know, which is it gonna be? And somehow they both ended up getting invited again anyway. And the same dickish, childish antics started up again. And we were like, okay, you know, you guys, you're causing trouble for everybody. And this is when they started really, like, you could tell they had something. This is around the time that I started hearing that they wanted to grief the lands, or someone wanted to...
No damage happened. What happened was at the very edge of the back part of my desk behind my monitor, a charging cable that I literally don't recognize, it's still in its wrapping, and it must be several years old, fell off and landed on the very bottom part of my desk and, like, rattled everything. And so, yeah, that was not, like... That was an accident. I don't know what happened with that. That's unrelated, though.
Grief the lands. Turns out this was Jared and Talo and Pop Bob. They all wanted to grief the lands, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? You know, tell your friends, because we knew Tristan and Clyde were friends with Pop Bob and them. Okay, tell them to chill out. You know, let's you know, calm down here. And I knew that wasn't gonna happen. I knew they weren't gonna play nice, and sure enough, they didn't. And I want to say that the removal of Tristan's bed was like somebody was just trying to cut them off to prevent them from doing something. And it didn't end up happening. Like, they made a second side bed chain, and they were very obviously dead set on getting there and griefing us. And
wait, so why didn't they just use your bed chain? So
because we removed
you removed
the,
it. Okay.
that final bed.
Right, yeah.
And the Fit MC copy pasta is that Tristan told Pop Bob to log in and complete the bed chain.
Yeah.
But the bed chain that they told him to complete was a separate side bed chain that was secret to us, because they needed cover of darkness so that nobody knew what they were doing and why.
Sure.
And that's basically what happened. They were covertly moving in such a way that we didn't know they were. We thought they would kind of been thwarted by this. They weren't. They were just working secretly, you know, out to the side. And setting up those bed chains took a lot of time, because you had to go to every
for sure
spot 8 times farther away. So you had to go like several 100,000 blocks out eventually to complete the final bed. And so, but the final leg of the journey was to go to the lands itself. Well, that's 4 million blocks out. So, but Pop Bob was already there on a secret alt. We knew he was there, but he didn't log in for a long time. And yeah, that was how that ended up happening. They got Pop Bob to be their final link in the bed chain, and all hell broke loose. And while everything was being griefed by Jared and Talo, I had every single person who was there witnessing everything say that Tristan was there just watching it all unfold. And I'm like, yeah, that's where we knew. That's how we knew that Tristan was no longer on our side.
Yeah, for sure.
He was just like have at it, guys.
Yeah. I mean, but
And,
why would he be? To be fair, because if you put yourself in his shoes for a sec, he's he's dicking around, right? But at the same time, when you have someone like that who doesn't contribute and just dicks around in a group, naturally the other members of the group start acting kind of like, they make snarky comments that a little bit toxic, and obviously that creates hostility between the person.
And that's what separates an adult from a child. The child will sulk and get mad and get incensed.
Yeah, for sure.
But an adult will say, "Hey, look, have I messed up? Do I need to do something? Do I, whatever? Like, what can I do, guys? Like, help me help you. Like, let's talk this out like rational people.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the difference. He did not do that.
Which is weird from a 17-year-old, because
I mean, I always got the impression that Tristan was somewhat intelligent and mature for his age.
Yeah.
And that's probably not changed. It's just physical intelligence and age maturity are two separate things from emotional intelligence.
Sure.
You have to be willing to work with other people, and you have to be willing to put your own ego aside. And I only ever saw ego from Tristan and Clyde, Pop Bob, Jared, all those people at that time during late 2015, early 2016. It was ego. It was very ego driven. And I never expected any more than that, because a lot of the older players were also very ego driven. But like, I don't know, you'd like to think someone you've sort of allowed into your group, you'd like to think they're a little bit better than that.
Do you reckon
really
he joined with the is there any possibility he joined with the purpose of inciting and griefing, or do you think he wanted to be part of it in the beginning?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know, to be quite honest. I'd like to think it didn't start out that way, just because, like, he had the entire world, Tristan had the entire world in his hands at that time. When he joined us, it was late 2013, and he and Pyro had already gotten their little back door, the one that was used to spawn in player heads and command blocks and all that stuff. They already had access to everything under the sun. If they wanted to ruin everything, nothing was stopping them.
Yeah.
And they were happy to play nice for 3 entire years. So, like, something had to have changed, and I think it was just how people treated them. They were acting like dickish little children, and that rubbed everybody the wrong way, because King's Landing and KGB were very big community bases at that time. Literally everybody, Ormonger, Pop Bob, Sato 86, like people you wouldn't expect to be able to base with each other, they were allowed to kind of chill out in the same vicinity as each other. And the base was okay for a while, and it was definitely the dickish, childish antics of Tristan and Clyde that really kind of sealed the deal.
I mean, when you separate yourself from people like that by being dicks, and then you get bored, that's not a good combination.
Right, exactly.
You start to think, what the fuck
happened.
am I doing? Like, trying to be cool with these people. Yeah. Okay, well, that was really interesting to hear about. Since we're, like, kind of ended up there with, being naughty on 2B2T, I gotta ask you, have you ever griefed a base?
Oh, yeah, I've griefed a few bases.
Okay, well, can you, anything in particular? Like,
I've only griefed 3 major bases that I can remember that are of any note, personally.
Sure.
So the first thing I griefed was I had just gotten out of spawn. I'd already established a bed, so I was kind of getting some food and some items. This is like really, really early 2012. And I happened across this, I don't know, it was just this weird little collection of huts, but they called it a town. They named it, put it on signs everywhere. They called it 1.2 Launch Town because 1.2 was on the horizon and people were like happy. They were anticipating a new update. Incidentally, 1.2 was the update that increased the world height for the very first time. So it was a doubling of the world height, which was unheard of at that point. And so I happened across in like the wee hours of the morning, American time, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's stuff here. These people had stacks of diamond, iron, and gold blocks. I'd never seen that much stuff in one place at that time, not legitimately.
Sure.
And they had food, they had all sorts of stuff that I hadn't seen. And I was like, I'm stealing everything that's not nailed down. You guys, why did you build this city, this little small town out in the middle? It was just out in the open. And to be fair, where the hell would you build it? You know, where would you realistically go? Like any base, anywhere is just going to be out in the open. But I didn't see it that way. I was new to 2B2T, and I was like, okay, well, griefing is a way of life. It's a rite of passage here. You know, you guys built a city, town, what it was really more like a village. You guys built it out in the open. I gotta punish you. And looking back on that, I'm just like, that is so fucking cringy.
It's the cringy
Why did
fan
I think?
mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Why did I think that was something I needed to do? I could have stolen some items and been on my way and left a sign and been like, this is a cool little town, bye. But no, I had to, quote, teach them a lesson. And I don't know why I did that to this very day. And I'm just like, I probably wouldn't have done that now.
Yeah.
But again, I was brand new to 2B2T, so you can't really, like, fault me too badly.
So if I was Housemaster spectating you in your first ever days on the server, I would have thought Jacktherippa might be the next big griefer. Fuck.
No, that's not at all what he'd have thought, because everybody did stuff like that back then.
I suppose,
At least I think that's how everybody approached it. I only really had a handful of people's accounts telling me of what they did in the early days, so I can't really say that that's 100% true. Maybe there was more cooperation and getting along than they would lead you to believe. Because like I read Judge Holden's comic religiously back in the day because I was so obsessed with seeing another group's internal workings, and they all got along swimmingly.
Yeah.
And they got hunted and griefed left and right, but everywhere they'd move to, they'd immediately take to the area like they knew the area the entire time. They were quick to do stuff, quick to build buildings, quick to, you know, set up and establish a civilization. They were happy amongst themselves. And like, that was an oddity, because that is not at all the type of lifestyle I saw on 2B2T. Everybody was out to get each other in the early days. They would all yell obscenities at each other in chat, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's just how this place is. But then you'd have this comic, hand-drawn, IRL, hand-drawn by a guy who just like was trying to capture his earliest days on 2B2T in a meaningful way, and just he did a great job of it, because he got to show off a segment of his life that I really don't think a lot of people take advantage. Like, even myself, I didn't ever really take my early days on 2B2T as meaningful. I didn't save screenshots. All the log files from those days have long since been overwritten and you know, gotten rid of. It just the early parts of my history that I would later on wish that I could remember more detail of, all that would just be lost to time. And Judge Holden is writing everything down and depicting it in comic book form by hand. I just thought that was so fucking cool. And like, I really kick myself now looking back that I didn't take more screenshots.
That's what everyone says, yeah.
Yeah, and do like, and take it more seriously and just be more diligent. That I could have maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's more things that I could have known, or more information, like the chat logs, just to be able to save the chat logs from early 2B2T. God, I wish I could have done that.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that didn't happen.
Yeah. That's the great thing about being a new, your time as a new player, because you're so naive to the server you're playing on. You kind of, like, you feel like this little fucking player in this massive, like, thing. There's countless things to explore. Nice.
Yeah. And so that was the first major grief that I did. The second one was a while longer, way later. The second major grief I had was, I want to say, Ormonger's base in 2014.
Okay.
I didn't grief for like 2 years because I lived as a hermit out at the lands for most of that time, and that was 4 million something blocks out. So no, like, there was no real major griefing opportunities until Ormonger's, you know, happened. And then everybody descended on Ormonger like a plague of locusts We hated Ormonger.
Yeah, can you explain the hatred behind Ormonger for people that
I
don't
can't. That's the worst part of it. I can't tell you why we suddenly descended on Ormonger. So there was this guy named Javazan, okay, in early 2014. After the temp map of 2014, we all returned to the main map, and this new player named Javazan joins. And Javazan starts bragging about how he's going to destroy Passy Town, he's going to destroy NFE, he's going to destroy the Valley of Wheat, he's going to destroy all these big... Because we kind of had, you know, pride in these larger scale, you know, what eventually would come to be known as monuments.
The sort of unwritten rule, don't grief monuments. Yeah.
And, yeah, we didn't want... Now, Ormonger was a dead, silent, lived by himself hermit. No one knew who the fuck he was, okay? And... Javazan is being a pest, and we want to get rid of Javazan. And we want to stomp out any and all connections Javazan has to the server. And somehow, through the grapevine, I don't even know that this was true. Somehow through the grapevine, we hear Ormonger is harboring Javazan.
And it's shit like this that makes me go, yeah, that's how the Salem witch trials happened. Yeah, this is human fucking nature. It's insanity how quick people can be to turn on someone or a lot of someone's, whatever it is, for a perceived imaginary slight. You think for a second you're above it. You're better than it. No, you're not. No. All it would take is someone doing something you don't like and you and your friends ganging up on them, and that'd be the end of it. And yeah, like this is wild. The Ormonger incident, to this day, it baffles me how we all go from absolute and total literal who to blood enemies inside 24 hours. And Ormonger played longer than I did. Just to give you a big, you know, an idea, Ormonger played 2B2T from like mid-2011. So he'd been playing about 7 to 9 months longer than I had by that point. And again, just kept to himself, didn't say anything. He didn't like all the things that were being said in chat, but he kept his cool. And then we heard about Javazan, and we were like, yeah, we gotta stamp out Javazan. Oh, shit, there's this Ormonger guy. Oh, no, he's harboring Javazan. Well, we can't have that. We gotta annihilate the fuck out of him. So we did. And then we come to find out Javazan and Ormonger had no relationship whatsoever. Ormonger threw Javazan out. He was never friends with the guy. And the moment I heard that, I was like, oh shit. That can never get out. Because we're the bad guys in this story of Ormonger versus the world. Like, don't get me wrong, Ormonger made himself as big a target as he could possibly make himself from this day onward. But, like, that we instigated it. We very much were the ones at fault there. And I'm just like, to this day, it still baffles me how we can just go hog wild on somebody for, like, the most seeming, like, it wasn't worth it. Not at all. He didn't do a damn thing to deserve what we did to him. And we did it. Like,
fuck that guy. We gotta teach him a lesson. And so Pop Bob had, yes, even Pop Bob was helping us at this time. That's how absurd this whole thing is, looking back on it. But in the moment, in the heat of the moment, it seemed fine. So Pop Bob had gotten Ormonger's cords.
Oh, thank you so much for your donation, Geometric. I just saw. Thank you. You have a good day at work, man. Thanks for coming out. But yeah, they did not like the server. That was propaganda Clyde and Tristan did afterward. The lagging the server thing was not ever real, I don't think. I just remember that it was definitely the Javazan Ormonger connection, which again, to reiterate, was not real. Javazan and Ormonger had nothing to do with each other, and we still descended on Ormonger like a fury. I can't even describe it. It was insanity. It was just pure insanity.
the same way that he had gotten everyone's coords in those days, through Thunderhack. And so we're just like, okay, give us his coords. And we get it, and we all make a plan to meet up at a time. I want to say this was one of 2B2T's first large-scale coordinated griefs. Because up until that point, you only had people like Pop Bob, X0XP, Jared, etc., who would just show up and ruin everything to the best of their ability and then move on to something else.
Yeah.
But no. This was like 17 to 20 different people. And we all afterward, we took a fucking screenshot of ourselves sitting there in front of the ruins.
First time that's happened.
We were proud of what we did. I've got the screenshots here, actually. And like, it was all organized by Pyro and XCC2 and other people. And we were just like, yeah, fuck Ormonger. And we dunked the fuck on him. Like, that poor guy, like, looking back, I feel so bad for him because he didn't provoke us. He was dead silent in chat. He didn't like all the bad words and stuff being said, but he kept his peace.
Is that not true about how he always used to lag the server?
No. The lagging part was a Tristan Clyde propaganda meme.
Oh, really?
That wasn't what happened.
I thought that was real. I thought he was a known lagger of the server.
No.
Oh, shit.
He was not. No. So we all descended on his...
Nobody knew who the fuck he was until the Thunderhack. What do you mean, known lagger of the server? Like, nobody cared about that. Pop Bob had lagged the server before. Nobody was that upset about it. Like, oh my god. I feel ashamed of myself from then, just because, like, there's just no reason for it. There just was no reason for it.
His base, like a swarm of locusts, just absolutely annihilated.
Ani, can I show the screenshots? Yeah. Let me dig through. I've got them all. I've got everything under the sun, just about. Let me find the screens from that time. Okay, 2015, 2014. Here we are. Yeah, here we go. Okay, let me just do a real quick pan through to be sure everything is kosher, if you catch my drift. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to show the pictures of the grief because there's just no point. But, yeah. Here we go. So, yeah. This is what happens when you grief XCC2. XCC2 griefs you. Owned. Ormonger didn't do a damn thing to XCC2. Javazon did. Javazon made a nuisance of himself, but he made a nuisance of himself to everybody. No one liked him. Not even Ormonger. And yet somehow I still don't understand how Ormonger took the fall for this. Like, I don't get it. Maybe Javazon said, oh yeah, Ormonger's my friend. And somebody just took it way too far. I don't fucking know. But it just absolutely went insanity. We all went insane with Ormonger fever that summer. The summer of 2014. I'll never forget it. There's Pyrobite on his alt, Cryobite next to me. This is Stormtroopa. Anus Bite, I believe, was, who was that? That was a parody. Fuck. Who was this? Dark Joe is Jared, by the way. Jared grief with us. Like, that blows my mind. That this is Jared, who willingly cooperated with everybody. Nihili 2 was, Zarviar. That was him on an alt. Classic Jacktherippa skin. Yeah, you're right. Let's see here. I forget who Anus Bite was. It was somebody who was a regular at the time. We were all cool with him. And yeah, this is just like half of the group that was there. Tristan was there. XCC2 was there. ZXCBZW1 was there. You guys don't remember the name ZXCBW. He's not that important, but you get who I mean. We just all... We showed it off. We were like, haha. Hee hee. Yeah, we're so awesome. Oh boy. And yeah, that was it. And I was just like, why did we do that? I still don't fucking know.
And after that, we take a screenshot for posterity here. Let me see if I can't find it. Oh, it was June the 4th, 2014. Yeah. So this is a bunch of us. I'll drop it in the Discord here.
Sure, I'll put it on.
This is a bunch of us just chilling out. Here we are. And yeah, like we just all decided this was something we needed to do. And after that, oh, I got kicked for being AFK.
Don't worry about it. Just reconnect.
And after that, Ormonger took it personally. And to be fair,
Well, not surprised.
I would too. Yes, to be fair, Ormonger took it personally, and yeah, I would too. And at that point, because we all took this screenshot here of all of us, you know, sitting there, he knew who we all were. Because we all, you know, we all said who we all were. And so he's like, I'm going to go to every one of your bases and stashes. I'm going to find who all you are, and I'm going to stamp out your bigotry. And so Ormonger made it a point from that day on to be as big a pain in everybody's ass regarding, you know, stuff like that, the bad words and all that. And he made it a point to go around griefing every bit of bad shit that he could find, just all of it. And I think he's changed since then. He's from what James Russells has told me, he's calmed down a bit, but like, I don't know, like, I'll never forget how he used to be, how he is now, because it's been, oh god, it's been what, 8 years?
Yeah, what was this, 2014?
Jesus, it's been 2014, it's been 8 years since that day. So like, you know, people can change, obviously. I heard that he was kind of a little bit of a bit of a troublemaker politically. He was very politically active. Kind
of public apology to Ormonger, Ani. It wouldn't do any good. Ormonger probably wouldn't even care. He wouldn't even know who I am. I'm pretty sure. He forgot about a lot of us. He migrated to Constantium, and I haven't seen him since like 2016. I doubt very much he would care to hear from me. Jack rips Jack. No, I'm not going to do a reaction within a reaction. That would be insanity.
A person, and nobody else gave a shit. And so in years of political turmoil, he kind of lost his mind. He was not a pleasant base mate to get along with, from what I understand. Oh well, what can I mean, I can't do anything about that. By this time, he and a bunch of people had already migrated to Constantium, so I was just like, he's not in my backyard, I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, looking back on it, I kind of do feel bad for griefing Ormonger, because he didn't do anything to deserve it. You know what I mean?
It was kind of just a meme that everyone bandwagoned on.
Yeah. Well, that was initially what happened, was that he took in Javazan. He was a Javazan ally. And that was wrong. And that was just flat out not the truth.
Just a lie.
Yeah, it was just a flat out lie.
But did people kind of realize that was a lie but thought it was funny anyway? Or did people actually think that was true?
I'm sure it was something of a stretching of the truth. Nobody really was like 100% convinced, but like, we kind of wanted someone or something to rally around, you know? And that happened to be destroying Ormonger's existence. And sadly, that was just how it was.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
And so, yeah. And so what ended up happening was this made Ormonger a huge threat. And we never really quite were rid of him until the nerds took over everything in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, the harassment lasted until fucking Operation Ormonger, right? That was 2016. That's when he finally quit.
And so, yeah, that was the second really big grief. Then in 2015, we griefed another Ormonger stash, because we were all still at odds with him.
Yeah.
And then after that, the last major grief I partook in was the griefing of Imps. And that was when I went to Imps to find illegal items and also an end portal, because by this time, by the end of 2015, we had the end dimension completely locked down. And so we wanted to find any end portals or any means that could be used to get to us and shut that shit down. And so that's what we were doing. We were out there to find stuff. Jared was just tearing the place to pieces. And we were like, okay, well, that's cool. And so we decided to also, you know, get dunk on Jared. And
yes. So can you kind of go more into detail about your part in the whole Imp story? Like, how were you invited to the grief and stuff? Like, how did that all come about?
Jared was just griefing the place, and he said, hey, you know, anybody who wants to join, we all knew the chords because it was leaked, so by that time it didn't fucking matter. And we were like, all right, you know, that's the end of it. May as well go there to find whatever crazy stuff we can find.
Hold on a sec. What are you all saying about internet lagging or something? Everything should be fine on my end. I'm not having any problems. It's showing me I got a good connection, and when I play the video, it doesn't do anything.
And yeah, it's just...
So yeah, I have 33 dropped frames, like, for the whole stream. So you guys who are lagging, I don't know if it's audio issue. I couldn't tell you. But no, everything's going good on my end, as far as I can tell. I have a good connection to YouTube. Everything's fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just the fuckiness of the audio. I don't know what Dig did wrong, but he did it. He didn't do it right. That's for sure.
You weren't friends with Jared or anything. You knew that he was just dumpy stuff.
He was a little less mad with us. He had already griefed Space Valk 1 by this time, and we were like, you know, I don't really want Jared to get a victory here because of Space Valk 1, but I don't really have anything necessarily against him. But let's just go there and mess with him anyway because he's busy griefing the place. Why not, you know, really take advantage of it and
get cool shit.
Yeah, get cool shit in the process. And we got a bunch of stacks of god apples and some other items. We got his journal. We got a bunch of stuff like that.
So how did you find his journal and like his e-chest contents?
Oh, well, he was based in a little jungle biome nearby. And he just emptied out his ender chest to get more either stuff that he was looting from the base or to carry more TNT.
Right.
Because obviously no shulker boxes, so your inventory base space was very limited. So that was probably just a means to facilitate more griefing. Because he and Frickin' were both there on 2 separate accounts. I assume full main body inventory plus the full inventory of your ender chest. That's what, like 4.5 shulker boxes worth of TNT in total. Like, that's all you're getting. That's still a lot, but that's all you're getting. You know, you really had to make efficient use of your space, so that was what Jared was doing. And Silver Crown King and I went to Imps, and Jared was completely amicable to us because he was too busy griefing and blowing everything up. And I was just like, okay, well, that's cool. We'll poke around and see what we can find. We didn't make any overt threatening things to him. He thought we were there to help him. And again, we were there to ascertain illegal items, to find any, you know, shenanigans or any obvious fuckery, because by this time we were suspecting that Tristan and the Imps crew Tristan was apparently way closer to the Imps crew than he was to us, and we were like, okay, that's sus. We want to go to the legendary Imp space. We want to see what the damage is. Are there illegal items there? Do they have a spawned in end portal? Do they, you know, whatever. What exactly? We wanted to kind of unveil, you know, the secrets of the server, because we knew there were some suspicious, shifty things going on.
And what did you find?
But we didn't. We found. So Jared found all this stuff, not us. All this stuff was long since looted. By the time, actually, the funny bit is James Russell's Spartan 512 and Kane's Law made it to Imps in October of that year, well before Tristan and Jared had their falling out, and Jared was going to go there to grief. Well before any of that, they were digging a tunnel to go to the lands, and they just happened to accidentally find Imps along the way. And yeah, that was how that went. And they had secured a lot of legal shit. Eventually they burned a lot of it. So this is where enchanted glass comes from. What was another really interesting item? They had enchanted glass. I don't think they had too many really amazing things.
Not pig spawners?
No, pig spawners came from Kino Rana.
Oh.
I don't think they had too much else, in all honesty. That was about it. They definitely had lots and lots of like good items like god apples and things of that nature, but nothing super like illicit or like explain this, Tristan. Like the barriers that I found at Tristan's stash. That was like super obviously illicit because it was an illegal item that was brand spanking new.
You couldn't obtain it before,
That you can't realistically explain.
No.
So obviously, that's the problem.
So can you sort of explain how you went from Imps, how you ended up at Tristan's stash? Because I know that's all kind of linked together.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Tristan's stash, we find Jared's little thing out in the jungle biome. We steal all of his stuff, the journals, all that. Blow his stash up. That's the end of the Imps grief because Imps was toast by the time we got there, let alone by the end of us griefing Jared's little stash. The TPS was like 1, and so we were basically invincible because you can't PvP using...
Oh my god, I remember this one. This was especially funny. Let me show off a screenshot of me flying away from Jared. It was so fun. When we were fighting in that jungle biome, and I got there, blew everything up, and he's like, Jack, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, what? I'm placing TNT. The TPS is 1. What do you fucking think I'm doing? And I remember hastily crafting a lever and then flicking the lever and then just placing TNT everywhere so that it would activate and immediately blow everything to bits. And Jared immediately started trying to sword me to death. And it was doing like next to nothing because he couldn't hit me because the TPS was 1. And so eventually I had no trouble blowing up his stash and getting the hell away from him. And it's at this point that I ended up... Fuck, where is it? I ended up using the glide exploit, funny enough. The glide exploit that was that we used to get out to Space Valkyria. I used the glide exploit. Yeah, it was this one. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, here it is. So this is the inner chest. Those are his journals and a few other items from Imps, some enchanted glass there. You can see up above my book and quill. Stack of beacons, because beacons were still somewhat valuable. God apples. We had so many god apples. Good set of armor. I think red sand was unique or something like that. I forget why I had red sand in there, but whatever. And yeah, well before the time of Elytra. And this was me using glide, as you can see right here. Glide negative 0.32. And I'd run away from Jared. This is Jared right down here. We can really kind of see. It was, what was he? It was Brutalo style was his sword. And, fuck, I don't even think... here you go. Hive Tyrant Raffi. That was the name of the account he was on. And so I'm like, tee-hee-hee, and I pillar up. Because what can you fucking do against someone in 1 TPS? It's like next to impossible to hurt them. And so I just get up and I hit myself with a bow and I just walk on away. And there's fuck all he can do. And I'm just sitting here in third person walking away, and he's just... You can't even see his name. It's just Hive Tyrant Raffi. There he is. He's just way the fuck back there. And I have nothing stopping me. I can just walk off in the air. And he's just like, fuck you, Jack. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, bye. And then Metallic Angel, that was Silver Crown King. Metallic Angel and I, we just... Oh, and VLI. VLI was frickin'. Hive Tyrant Raffi was Jared. And yeah, it was me and Metallic Angel. Or me and Silver versus frickin' and Jared. And I was able to just walk off into the sunset. It was so fucking funny. And then we hit all the god apples in a little stash here. I forget what happened to them after that. I don't give a fuck. And yeah, and then we were... this is somewhere in the vicinity. Or is this Imps? No, this is Imps. No, this is the lands. That's it. Okay, this is a completely different area. And then this is another... I've never really talked about this journal. This is not Jared's journal. This is a completely different journal written in German by one of the original members of the base. John Zhu, I believe the guy's name is. This is 1.8, not 1.7. Yeah, I know, 10 FPS, exactly. Like that's... Remember, I played on a crap top back then. You can't blame me. That's all I could afford. Anyway, and so John Zhu was one of the original members of Imps Base back when it was originally called Viking Base. Funny enough. I don't know. Very strange naming convention. And, of course, everybody was German. including John Zhu and Imperator Terrare. And so this whole thing, from what we understood, we had it translated by somebody. Basically, it said something about we made the statue of Christ the Redeemer from Rio de Janeiro. And then this is something about talking about Pop Bob found us last night. He was walking on the nether roof and figured out where we were. And yeah, basically, John Zhu ended up getting Imperator exiled him because he found illegal items that Imperator had, or something like that. I never really was able to follow up on this because apparently this book was old. This book was from 2013, 2014, so it was already a year old by the time we got a hold of it. So, yeah, John Zhu, that's his name. And so, we could never really... No, I don't know how to read German. I just remember from the translation, that's what we were talking about. So anyone who knows German or can, get all that, that was what that was. And so this is his journal of being kicked out of Imp Space, and then he also wrote a little sort of story, but it's not real. It's fiction, but it's about somebody turning into a dryad, turning into a tree or something like that. It's very weird. Yeah, dryad. Well, I don't know how to read this, but basically he became a dryad, or became a tree creature, or whatever, and that's the end of it. And then this was another journal. Or no, this is the same journal. Sorry, 16. So 10 stacks, Stein, Protos, I don't know, Stone, I think. Yeah, and that's that. I Love You, 69. I don't know what this journal was. XN Tai. Oh, this one was really weird. This was written by Tristan. AES 256, or AES 256 encrypted. This is I feel so bad for Tristan. Basically, he just wrote, I miss you. Or no, I love you, or something like that. I think that's what this book was. X and Tai, I miss you. Yeah. And this was a girl he knew in real life. And that she wanted nothing to do with him. Gee, I wonder why. And yeah. It was something. No, I do not know how to read German, Ixoy. That was just me remembering the translation. We had a friend who knew German, and they translated it. But that was it. This is Jared's journal. This is from early 2015, May 23rd, mid-2015, all the way up until the grief at Imps. And this is just him stalking through the nether, trying to find bases, and, just figuring out what shit is, where stuff is. It's just wild. It's funny, but, I don't really want to, make too much fun of Jared for that, because he was just being Jared. It's nothing wrong, it wasn't a crime, but it was a little cringy. And then this is the same journal that Fit eventually would read out, though I think the reading of Fit, I think that's gone. We still have somebody saved for posterity, thank God. Somebody saved the argument that Jared had on Christmas Day against Pop Bob, the infamous "Why don't you drink my semen, Pop?" Yeah, that one. That was saved. That was a 10 out of 10. That was hilarious. But the reading of Fit, reading Jared's journal, that I think has been lost to time. I don't know. Maybe Fit has that saved somewhere. I couldn't tell you.
Swords at 1 TPS. That just, there were no ender crystals. There was no, there were TNT minecarts, but lag would make it impossible to use that. There was no realistic way to kill someone else at that point in time. And so we clean up Imps. A few months pass. The lands falls due to the bed TP. And so Kane's Law approaches me and says, "Hey, Jack, you want to get revenge?" Because I felt really betrayed by Tristan, just backstabbing us that way. I'm sure us going to Imps and rummaging around there didn't help things, because he probably thought we were going there to help Jared. It didn't matter, because the Imps was toast. We were going there to see what there was to see. I mean, anything we intended to do was irrelevant, because Jared was going to torch the place to the ground. That was just who Jared was at that point. And so, when we get the lands destroyed, I'm sure that was part of Tristan's justification, but that ultimately, I trusted him. We all trusted him, and it was obvious that they were up to no good. Something crazy was going on, but we weren't quite sure what that was. But we'd already lost our base, and it's at this point that I start getting promised by Branillan, one of my base mates, who trusts Tristan, even after the land's grief, even after we have confirmation that Tristan was almost helping. And it's at this point I hear that, oh, don't worry, Jack, they can paste it back in. And I'm like, what the hell do you mean they can put it back in? Like, what? Huh? How? And it's at this point I find out that, yeah, they have total access to the server.
So someone actually told you?
Well, it's more of a obvious piece 2 and 2 together thing. I just thought they had another backdoor. I didn't know the scope of it. Just a backdoor of any caliber is the same. It's an access. It's a power. Yeah, it's a power level that no one player should have, realistically. And it doesn't matter how. If it exists, it's a danger. It's a threat. And so I was like, okay, this cannot be. Tristan is obviously dirty in some fashion. And then Kane's Law approaches me and is like, hey, Jack, you want revenge? If so, I've got access to something really, really eye-opening. You need to see it. And I'm like, okay, what is it? So we journey out there in the dead of night. And this is where we find the stash. And it's got bedrock. It's got barriers. It's got player heads. It's got all the stuff at it that I wouldn't expect you to just casually have. Because especially illegal items like barriers, well, that's not something, that's too recent. There's a problem here. And eventually Yellowstone Joe went to the same area and analyzed it and found out that they also had, newer world gen type stuff. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And so we stole all the illegals, the 32Ks.
Why did New World Gen mean anything?
Oh, because diorite, andesite, and granite were new.
Yeah, but why does that? Because does that just signify that they made the stash recently?
Yes,
okay,
it's too new.
Yeah,
it's too new. Their explanation was, and a lot of people may not know what their justification was. This is how they framed it on the Reddit. In late 2013, when Pyro and Tristan had their back door, they spawned in a bunch of items, because back then you needed to use item IDs to do that. So they spawned in a bunch of items with IDs that didn't exist yet. And they stuck those in chests and left them alone. And so as the versions updated, those IDs were filled with new illegal items, including things like barriers. And I'm like, maybe that's possible. Maybe that's just, that sounds kind of, it's bullshit, but it sounds kind of like it's the best kind of bullshit. It could possibly be true, but you don't know. And even then I was like, I don't know if I believe you or not. And then Yellowstone Joe goes back to the stash site after it's already been griefed and stuff, and examines the rock formations in the area, and it's obvious. There's diorite, andesite, and granite generated all throughout everything. And also there's just bedrock that has been erased. Like, it's not as though there weren't bedrock erasing methods, but that Tristan would bother doing that. Tristan's too lazy. Tristan doesn't build. Like, no, I don't buy that. And it was painfully obvious at that point that they had access to some level. Again, we just thought it was a back door, but it was actually a much deeper level of access to the entire server, and that we were helpless to stop it.
And this is when Sato made his big Reddit post.
Doesn't it feel strange to hear my own voice? Not anymore. I'm too used to it. You get used to it eventually. The more you do stuff like this, Poncho. I get it. I remember how weird it was to hear my own voice for the very first time, but at this point, I'm just like, whatever. Hopefully I don't sound like an idiot. And that's about it. That's all I can do. Oh well. I'm not that worried about it. People here like to talk about how GPT tools are the... Geez, Ani, I would hope it's not, but it might just be. Okay, let's hop back in.
Yes. We were all trying to, blow it wide open because we thought, very foolishly, Housemaster would maybe step in and do something.
Why do you think he
Turns
didn't?
out he was also kind of involved.
How was the Housemaster involved?
Well, I don't want to use that post by ZeroNeb recently, the one that went around, but I can attest that one of what ZeroNeb asserted that Tristan and George Bush 420, Housemaster, all of these people, they all know each other and they're all friends.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. They've always been friends. I can attest to that. They always talk to each other over Steam. They were always buddy-buddy with each other. And it just kind of seemed obvious looking back that, yeah, they had to. They had to have known about each other on some level or have been cool with each other on some level such that they could reasonably get away with backdooring the server to this level and us raising a fuss on the Reddit succeeded in only getting accounts deleted, banned, silenced, etc. And no actual meaningful, progress being made to stop it or nip it in the bud or anything like that. And it seemed like a very dark time because it did genuinely seem like there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. And then about a month or two later, it all gets blown wide open in one of the most unforeseen ways possible. On June 1st, 2016, the world goes topsy-turvy and will never be the same again.
Okay, sure, but when did the backdoor access get revoked? Because obviously, by the time Russia joined, they didn't have it anymore, right?
So there was some squabbling. Now, not by the time Russia joined. It was a little bit after that, around I want to say the time of the temp map of June 2016. There was a lot of rushing to both satisfy the older players, set up the queue system, get the hardware upgraded, because we were not ready to accept an influx of thousands of players. Oh my God, there were literally. I go to work one day at about 11 p.m., 11 a.m., something like that, or 10 a.m. So I get up, I play on 2B2T for an hour or two before I go to work, and I'm like, okay, well, there's 3 people online. God, this is depressing. And I go to work, don't know anything about this, come home, and there are thousands of people online. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay, well, I can remember in the past there were invasions of, famous website, famous YouTube channel, whoever, would feature 2B2T. I remember IGN featured 2B2T Spawn because it was an absolute hellhole. And that brought in a good 200 to 300 players. And I'm like, okay, well, this is just that, but on a bigger scale, but it'll peter out over time, right? Right?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah. Do you believe that the Camping Russia was invited to the server?
There are 2 theories. One theory is that he was invited and that he did his little whatever because, I don't know, he wanted to. Another theory is that Mr. Mitch and Napkin of Truth saw an article that James Russell's so James Russell's in the earlier part of the year and in the later part of 2015 was trying to get spotlight on 2B2T. And his heart was in the right place, but nobody liked it because nobody wanted an influx of new players to just show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword. What can he do? And so James goes on to Rock, Paper, Shotgun and manages to get a hold of one of the article writers and says, hey, let me take you on this tour of 2B2T. And he makes the Rock, Paper, Shotgun article, which I think you can read to this day. But nothing really initially came of it. And I was like, oh, bullet dodged. No, the bullet hadn't even been fired. Because the going theory is, and I believe this theory is more realistic than any other theory of backroom deals and shady whatever. Like, no, realistically, why would a backroom deal have needed to occur between people who didn't know each other? People who had nothing to do with each other except by happenstance. And so the going theory is that Mr. Mitch and Napkin of Truth see the Rock Paper Shotgun article and tell the Camping Rusher, who, and I believe Fit when he says this, the Camping Rusher's channel at that time was dying. Absolutely necrotic. He was a 900,000, almost 1 million subscriber YouTube. And after he makes his video on 2B2T, only a few thousand people join. Like, yeah, for us, that's a nightmare because we're not ready to accept that level of player inundation. But you're a several 100,000 YouTube subscriber person and only a few thousand people are watching, such that only a few thousand people join. Like, he had to have had an audience of maybe 10,000. Out of the hundreds of thousands of people who were subbed to him, only maybe 10,000 were engaged. His channel was on the major decline, and so he was probably out looking for some crazy something or another, and boy did he find it, to reinvigorate his audience, and yeah, boy did he get it. And so he was like, you know, Housemaster, let me buy your server. And I don't know if that really went over too well. There are some conflicting accounts that the Camping Rusher did legitimately own the server for a while. It's probably true to some degree that Rusher had a big hand in how things were being done at that time. But by the end of 2016, Rusher's nowhere to be found. Rusher stopped making a Let's Play series by the end of 2016 because we lagged him. We lagged him every time he showed up. We lagged the server to 1.5 TPS. 1 TPS, half a TPS, 0.2 TPS. We made sure he was never going to have a fun time on 2B2T because we blamed him for bringing about the apocalypse.
Damn straight we did. Oh, that was so good. I had a gigantic fight with both Jared, Rusher, and Wild X at the end of 2016. They were, of course, touring around the lands, and you all have probably heard this one. And I crystalled Rusher and Jared and killed them instantly. But Wild X was nowhere to be found. He got away from the explosion. And so he chased me around my own backyard for a good 20 minutes trying to crystal me. And I couldn't eat an apple to survive because the damn TPS was a fraction of 1. And I was just like, shit, what do I do? Shit, what do I do? And that was entirely Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is the one who did that, and I owe him my life because that ended up making me basically Wild X crystalled himself by accident simply because he must have assumed that I'd moved in a certain way that I hadn't, and the lag betrayed him, and he blew himself up. And yeah, that was hilarious. So in a real 3v1, I probably shouldn't have won that fight. But I got Jared and Rusher off guard, and that was enough. So yeah, like the TPS, I distinctly remember Sun Wukong saying, no, we're going to run this lag machine, and we're going to make that fucker cry. Yeah, the Camping Rusher's name, like, we knew every alt he was on, we knew everywhere he was. Like, this was an era where we hunted him down. Like, people got all up in arms about a year or two later of Dream's manhunt. We did the fucking manhunt years before that. Oh man, we were like so dead set on killing Rusher and finding out where he was and all that. We hated him. Oh man, we hated him. It was something else. I love that. Jack and Elrich interview talking about Zip Crowd and Minecraft for 2 hours straight. That wouldn't be bad, but I don't think he'll give me the time of day. So I don't know. Hey, you remember that stone? Yeah, it was something, wasn't it? He shall yield it again. Oh, yeah. Rusher holds my sword in his inventory to this day. Well, hey. That's how it is. Camping Rusher collab. Does he even do Minecraft still? He's a Fortnite YouTuber. Ah, that explains it. Yeah, he had to jump to whatever was new popular, I guess. I don't know. Wonder why Jack doesn't respect a War Guy. What? I respected War Guy. I liked him. But I only ever talked to him a handful of times. I just didn't know him anything, that's all. So, yeah. Back to this.
And yeah, he did. He did bring about the apocalypse.
So when you say the apocalypse, was the general consensus from the community that this was like
Yes.
Tubi's going to shit? What the fuck? Like, this is disgusting. Like, this is awful. Or was?
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't, because I asked Jared this, and Jared was like, "Oh, people just thought it was a cool, fun time for a war, and then it would die down."
Yeah, that attitude pervaded for maybe a month and a half.
Oh, okay.
About by the end of the fourth incursion, by the time the fourth incursion fell the fuck apart, because Fit was making videos and being a YouTuber and doing all that stuff, or trying to get started, and Offtopia accused Fit of selling one of Offtopia's bases out to try and basically get clicks and views. I don't think that was true, because a lot of people, because remember, thousands of players have joined 2B2T in the span of a month and a half. Just by law of averages, how they all evenly distribute out from spawn.
Shit's gonna get found, yeah.
Everything's gonna get found. Like, you saw the no-com heat map.
Yeah.
That was like from the day one of the Russia invasion to now. That's just how players are distributed. The base that Offtopia was mad about getting found was like 15 kilometers out from spawn.
Yeah,
20 kilometers.
That was fairly normal
like,
back then, yeah.
It was normal for the time in which it was founded, but anything under 100 kilometers post June 1st, 2016, what do you think is going to happen? Like, it was an inevitability. I remember going to my spawn farm shortly after the Camping Rusher stuff and going, ah, damn, yeah, I can't have a spawn farm anymore.
Yeah.
Just, I can never have a spawn farm anymore. Just going for, I'd always, from the day I joined to basically June 1st, 2016, I always knew I have my secret spawn farm in my back pocket. Should I ever get sent back to spawn? Should shit go sideways? Whatever. I know I will always have this one little area. And now I can never have that near spawn ever again. And I'm just like, yeah, that's just how it is because of the nature of how the server has changed. Damn. And I'm just like, how the hell have the rest of you who have been, in some cases, playing longer than me, not figured that out? You can't have good things near spawn anymore. Like, the sheer number of people who made it their life's goal to annihilate the Valley of Wheat.
Yeah.
Should have been a wake-up call to so many people. Like, what do you think is going to happen? They are all eager, deathly eager to make a name for themselves, just like the Camping Rusher did. Like, the number of dick riders who showed up to 2B2T after Rusher to do just that. Clout chase, to dick ride, to whatever. Like, how can you not see that coming?
But you guys have lagged the server. You've kicked the Camping Rusher off. Surely things are going to go back to normal, no?
For a while, yes, because we had veteran queue, and then that gets taken away, and now it's everybody has to pay priority, or it's wait in line for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, sure,
but
that's only a problem because of the people from Russia, and that's Russia stopped making videos.
I'm getting to that. Okay, and so for the first year after that, it's okay. The lingering popularity still kind of keeps it going, but it's okay. And then Ant Venom makes a video.
2018. Yeah.
I think I do mention
And then
Elridge.
Fuse Twa makes a video.
All the while, FitMC's gone YouTuber mode.
And Fit is still going and making videos. And then I'm sure there are like 5 others that showed up that we spurged out about, but I don't remember their names anymore because by this time it was a conga line of YouTubers.
Yeah.
And definitively by 2019, first of all, Etika, and then the YouTube algorithm. By that time, the damage was so done, it didn't matter. If Fit had died out in 2018, wouldn't have mattered. Etika was still going to find this. The YouTube algorithm was still going to pick up stuff. Fit probably helped carry it along.
Oh, for sure.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But it's too late. By this point, it is so far too late. By 2018, it's too late. Because by 2018, you have Ant Venom making a video. When we thought things were going to calm down, Ant Venom makes a video, and we're like, And
Back to square one.
veteran Q is definitively gone. So that's our advantage over the new players. obliterated. We now have seemingly an endless conga line of people making videos on 2B2T, and there's no real chance to keep the light of old school 2B2T burning.
Yeah.
They're
And
just
also,
realistic.
the veterans don't have a gear advantage anymore because like the 11-11 the dupe and stuff.
Yeah, dupes, and all this other stuff.
You're
like
all on the same page.
Yeah, it's too late now. There's no going back anymore. And here we are today. The only way you could make it go back now is if you had a hard line server administrator policy. So I guess this would have to be in secret so nobody knows about it. A hardline policy to keep 2B2T on 1.12 for like the next 7 years. To really, 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 really kill off the popularity. That's the only way I could see it having a chance.
But of course, that's not going to happen. Profit motive.
Profit will always be that motivation. So, at this point, I don't know.
Does this sadden you? Like, do you long for the olden days of 2B2T?
Yes, it saddens me. I can't do anything about it.
So what is it about 2B2T being a mainstream server that you don't like?
It's the erosion of the old school 4chan culture. That was what made 2B2T so cool. Because you had people who didn't give a fuck. Maybe they were a little more mature. Maybe they were insane. Maybe they were a mixture. Maybe they were all over the place. But 2B2T's size was never so much that you couldn't find some element of what 4chan had offered people. On 4chan, you can find people from all over the spectrum, both autistic and not autistic. People who are stable, people who are unstable, people who are somewhere in the middle. And it was the perfect narrow slice of that. You could find people who were cool, people who weren't cool, people you'd be neutral about. And with a server having bloated to hundreds and hundreds of players, you can't know who they are. You can never know who 90% of the player base is anymore. And that right there is, you can't have a culture with those people. You can't have anything in common with someone you don't know anything about. Maybe you would if you got to know them, but they're another face in the crowd now. How can you pick this one person out from that one person? Well, they both joined several months apart from each other. Yeah, so what? There are 50 billion other people who are just like them. How do you distinguish between anyone now? And that is the problem. You can't have a culture with anyone you can't know anything about. And the sheer size of your population, it grew too fast. It just grew too fast. With modern real world culture, it ballooned slowly over the many, many hundreds and thousands of years that cultures have existed. Notice how a lot of cultures have lived and died out too. But that you have some identity that you can kind of meaningfully meet with other people. But when you have a population explode wildly, you can't have much of anything in common with people like that. It doesn't matter. You can't know who they are because 50,000 people joining at the same time, there's nothing that readily distinguishes them from anyone else. You have people who kind of like sort of make a name for themselves and they'll form groups, they'll do all this stuff. And that's fine, but everybody else is doing that too. And you can't realistically make sense of who anyone is. You say
that, but those 50,000 people that joined because of Russia, there's only let's say a few, maybe no more than 50 that like actively are still like significant members of the community today. But they have their they're a community. Like,
yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what happened. The torch has now been passed on, so now they are 2B2T. And the old school players, the ones that everybody idolizes and wants to know more about and all this, our time has come and gone.
They're different.
That's
people.
really what it. Yeah, it's the difference between, well, the Earth is still the Earth, but the dinosaurs are gone.
You guys were playing 2B2T for different reasons than the community nowadays.
It can never go back now, and just like we'll never have the dinosaurs again, not at the same level that it was in prehistoric times. Like things have changed. Time has marched on. It never goes backward. The arrow only moves forward. And you have to accept that at some point.
So do you not think that instead of do you not think that instead of just being sad about that and looking back and thinking, oh, how times used to be so much more great, you can't look forward and be like, oh, well, 2B's constantly changing, so obviously 2B2T is gonna be enjoyable again at some point.
I could have if it had stayed up to date. It was the straw that broke the camel's back for me was that in 2020, I was found by the Turks, and it seemed like Space Valk 3 was imminently going to be griefed again, and I was like, okay, I can start a new base. But then I looked over to my right and saw 1.16 and all the brand new shit that's coming out, and it looked pretty fucking dope, and I was like, I want to do that. That would breathe fresh air, new life into the game.
But you said just a minute ago that the only way the server could fix itself is that if it would stay on the same version for years.
Yes, exactly. It's paradoxical.
Is that not a server you'd be interested in playing on?
But that's 7 years down the line. That's 7 years of change of Minecraft versions that have to change. Can it realistically be done? I don't know. And so that's what I'm saying. For 2B2T to go back to how it was pre-Rusher, it has to basically do the impossible. That's my point. I
mean, even the internet's changed. Like,
even the internet's changed, exactly. That's why I said it's like prehistoric Earth versus modern Earth. Even if we revived the dinosaurs, it'll never be like it was in prehistoric times. It can never be back that way. Time never goes backward. It only goes forward. You have to accept that. And so I've chosen to move on. And I guess a bunch of other people have too.
For sure. Okay, all right. Bro, I love the way you tell stories. You're really good at conveying your opinions and how shit went down. Like, because even when I try and like explain stuff that I did, like, you know, a few years ago on 2B, I always kind of forget details and like forget things and don't convey it in a very good way. I have to really think about what I'm going to say and plan it. You seem to be very natural at that. So I guess we're going to have another example of that. You did mention briefly.
Okay, I'm going to put a pin in that at 1 hour and 4 minutes. So, yeah, we'll call it there for today on that end. So, what everybody thinks so far? It was pretty good, wasn't it? Do the impossible, yeah, exactly, Poncho. We don't often realize. Oh, whoa. Sorry, I forgot I had let it get so high. Anyway, yeah, we don't often realize just how impossible what we want in life. Sometimes our expectations are just so unrealistic that to get what you want, you have to do the impossible. And it's just, that's the folly of humans. We have to figure out what's realistic and what's possible and what's not. And that often is, that's a very painful process for some people. Ah, well, that's life. Yeah, it was neat. Thank you, Jayhawk. Yeah, it was good. Okay. Public apology to Ormonger. Maybe. I might. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I don't think it's necessary because he didn't... Like, this is so long ago now. At this point, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know what was going through our heads. I really kind of wish we'd reconsidered. But... oh well. I've moved on. Ormonger has hopefully moved on. Love story time with Jack. Well, good. So you'll get plenty of those. I knew most. You didn't think of this part would work with 3 on and came back with thousands. Yeah, that was a wild day. I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was 1,300, 1,200, something like that. And that it had ballooned very quickly afterward to 2,000. And the really stupid part about that is that I want to say it was in 2015, there was, I want to say it was a prank. I really don't know what the deal was with it. None of us really thought anything about this. The player cap, at some point, the player cap was raised to 9,999. And remember, this is late 2015. Like, none of us were under the impression we were ever going to get that many. And of course, you have this insane influx of new people. It was tailor-made. It was terrible, but it was a tailor-made situation for what we found ourselves in. And so, yeah, that was it. We had thousands of people on the server simultaneously. I'm pretty sure that was like an accident. And the player cap was very quickly lowered to like 200 or some shit. It was very quickly curtailed. But I just found that so funny in retrospect that you could have thousands of players online, and we were all like, oh, that's never going to happen. And then it happens. What can you do? Unless we get popped for interview, never going to happen. Never going to happen. The only time I've ever will work with Pop Bob. Yeah, probably. I don't see Pop Bob ever working with anyone willingly. They hate that kind of attention now. According to Jared, Pop Bob hates the attention they've gotten. Which is hilarious, but oh well. I don't give a fuck. Not my problem. You love these corner green areas? Oh, thank you, Poncho. I'm trying to kind of like give these corners some life. Okay. I've got a lot more that I can do, but I think this'll work for now. I'm gonna put like a little bit of a shelf here. FFF Dota with Pop Bob. Nah. I don't like Dota. I'm not a MOBA player. Halt Account actually plays Dota with Pop, and apparently Pop is very good at it. Yeah, I'm sure. It's one of those games that people play for years and years on end. And, yeah, you get very good at it. I'd like to think I've gotten good at Minecraft because I played it for years on end. It's a similar sort of thing. There are people who play League of Legends religiously. I don't see how. But then again, they probably think the same thing about Minecraft. So hey, it is what it is. Oh hey, Fast Vincent. Yeah, you missed the reaction commentary if you just got here. I ended up listening to the first half of the Dig cast by Dig MC. And listen to him interview me, and just give a little bit of extra insight into what all was going on. It's good. You should watch the Dig cast. Let's see. How does this look? That's all right. I'll keep it. So yeah, you live in Minnesota too. Jack, it's snowing, and I've heard we're gonna get 6 inches. Damn, dude. It's only like 45 here. I can't imagine it being snowy and freezy. I hate that shit. Ugh, cold weather is not my forte. Hey, Franknificent, wow. Speak of the devil. What was the Entity God mode exploit? That was where you would dismount from a rideable entity, but not in a... you would do it through like a module, and it would allow you to... It was on Future. It would allow you to basically enter unloaded chunks. Have I ever played with Ranch? No, I have not. It would allow you to enter unloaded chunks, and the server would see your hitbox in a loaded area, but you would sort of like disembody from your player, and you would go anywhere, and you'd be able to fly and do all sorts of crazy shit. It was wild. Entity God mode was something else. It's not the kind of glitch that you it's a once in a lifetime kind of glitch, in a way. It's not the sort of glitch you get the chance to partake in very often. It got patched very quickly. Start wearing pants around 20. What? JacksPalace.net in New Zealand meetup or whatever. I'm not sure what you're talking about. No meetups are happening, man. Take you to IKEA. It's right across the street from the mall. Sure, whatever. I'm good. I'm good, Ani. Don't worry about it. So anyway. Okay. Well, we didn't get a whole lot really like super done. But we got a good amount here. I'd like to think. So yeah. Other than that, I'm thinking I'm going to do a last little sort of look around of the base. This is the next upper area, and then the next upper area. We'll have to put some stuff in here. This is more of a foyer slash, this is where you walk in, you come in here. This is the elevator. It'll take you up to wherever. And then in here we've got, I'm not really sure. We'll have a lot of nice little looking stuff here. But yeah, this is the building I've been filling out. And I'm just going to take a nice little stroll around the place, 45 is shorts weather. You wear pants until 20 degrees. Ah, okay. Damn. Well, some people have a higher tolerance for cold. I don't. I cannot stand the cold. I'm really hoping that the cold, is defeated and that global warming wins so that nobody is cold ever again. Where'd I put the poker tables? Oh, those are in here. Whoa. Yeah, this is where the slot machines and the craps table and the roulette and poker. Yeah, it's all right here. So yeah, we got everything you could ever want. And then some. Someday we'll have more stuff here, of course. Here's the top part of the sea spire. Damn. I really want to meet whoever built the original shape of the sea spire. I want to meet them again. I don't know who they are. I never talked to them. Ugh. Imagine you spend, I don't know, a year and some change building this, right? And you build it out in an ocean, and you clearly put a lot of effort into it. And then you just get fed up with it and dump the coordinates in chat and say, I'm leaving 2B2T, and that's it. Like, who does that? I don't know. Still never found them. 80 degrees is too hot for you? Aw. Aw. Oh no. Herc did not build the sea spire. Relax, Ani. You don't even know who Herc is. Do you? Anyway, so here's the dirt mansion. He didn't? I don't think he did. Pretty sure he didn't. I never actually got to know who that was, and I lost all of my log files from before a certain date. And yeah, I got that before then, so. How is 80 degrees too hot for you? It gets 120 where you are, Jacob. Yeah, like, Ani lives, or not, it wasn't Ani, Iktsoy. He lives up in Minnesota. That's the frozen ass crack of the north. That's how he's like, averse to the heat. I live in the south, so I'm used to the hot. And that's why I'm averse to the cold. We all have different tolerances. And we should all show our displeasure for the respective bits of weather we don't like. And people who like the weather that we don't like are bad. And then make sure to, post that and then like and subscribe and leave a comment down below telling me what weather you're a fan of and what weather you're not a fan of so that I can ridicule you or commend you for your bravery. But at any rate, that'll do it for me. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching. We'll do more Digcast reactions tomorrow. Did X0XP ever build? I think he did. I never saw anything that he built, but I'm pretty sure he did. But at any rate, I will catch you all later. Bye. Thank you all to those who donated and gave me a moment of your time. And yeah, make sure to follow me on Twitter and TikTok and join our Discord down below and all that other lovely stuff. I will catch you all later. Goodbye. Oh, hey, Theet, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out, Coperator. Thanks for coming out, Jacob. Thanks for coming out, Universin and Stone Cold Killer and Poncho Hamster and Ixoy and Real Ani and whoever else I missed and Fast Vincent. I saw you, Fast Vincent. Y'all have a good one.